All right, welcome back, guys. I do hope everything is working great. We are back. The computer is back, so we're going live straight to the YouTube channel, and we'll share that over to the Facebook Big Money page. And this is our book club, continuing on with part 5. This is chapter 23, the Law of Contentment, and it is a good one. We just finished off with the law of generosity a couple of days ago, and before that, the law of gratitude, and all of these are part 5, the laws concerning personal growth. And I was really excited, going through this chapter. It kind of was against some of my business views and some of my training in business, as we're very we're go-getters in this business. We're after it. We have, especially building up, especially where we're in financial services, and we're trying to teach families about how to be stable in their finances. And this right here, well, it gives us a different way of looking at it, but still correct nonetheless. And of course, it is the biblical view. It does bring forth some Bible verses for us to look at, pretty much being content and looking at money, right? And so I have some words to share with you guys when we're done with this chapter, but let's get through it. It's just a few pages here. And yeah, again, hopefully the sound is good. We got the computer back. The Zebra mic is back, and Zoom has been updated. So Zoom is the app that I use to record my videos, and I was doing everything for the past few days. It's been on my iPad and on my phone, and it's been way different. But hopefully, this is coming in clear, and you guys have the best quality possible. And I'm working on this podcast to see what else we're going to be doing. I know I shared this before, but I do appreciate those who are reading and those who are listening, that are commenting, and that are interested, that are talking about it. We need to be reading, guys. We really do need to be reading. It's something that's unpopular, but is definitely something that is going to continue to work on this, right? Because this right here is very important. It does conduct the majority of your life. The decisions that you make are all based on your thoughts and your experiences, and by the information that you've gathered together to help you develop those, to make those choices. And reading definitely, was pretty much feeding your brain, you know to kind of counteract all the garbage you listen to on the radio or on your podcast or wherever you stream music from. All of that is messing with your head. I'd highly recommend that you get back to reading the Word of God and getting back to reading anything that's going to build up your brain. A lot of what we developed in our high school years and college years came from a book. And right now, most of us haven't read since high school. That's a sad thing. Um, but it's definitely working wonders in my life. And as we continue on with this chapter, I just want to encourage you all. This is why we're starting off this book club. And I can't wait to see what our next project is going to be. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know. So, chapter 23, the law of contentment. And we're going to skim through it. It starts off with First Timothy chapter 6, verse 8. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Now, if you are content where you are, the law of contentment will afford you the patience and serenity to grow. All right. So if you are content, then the law of contentment will give you serenity, meaning peace, and the patience to grow if you wish. If you are not content, this law can show you how to be fulfilled with what you already have. There are those who are content being an attorney, for example, but due to pressures from their parents or society, they build their careers and become court judges instead. These people will likely become frustrated. In the book Clásicos del Mundo Corporativo, classic stories from the corporate world, Max Geringer, a Brazilian career coach, describes the principles behind the law of contentment by sharing a story about a man named Valdemar. Valdemar. So let me paraphrase uh, this man named Valdemar. Powerful character here in this chapter, and pretty much he was an engineer, a mechanic. It says here that he enjoyed doing what he does. He was a very funny guy, showed up to work, always excited to work. He didn't come to work with that whole mentality of, just another day, or I got to put in these hours to pay my bills, feed my families. He had a general love for what he did, and you could see it on his face. And it said that he was just a happy person coming to work. He was so committed as a salesman and being a mechanic that um, when people would ask him what his name was, he would say Valdemar with the V for vendor. Right, Valdemar was so good at his job that one day he decided to get promoted by his supervisor. It was decided that he would be promoted by his supervisor. They called Valdemar to announce his new promotion, and they expected him to jump out of his chair, hug everyone, and burst into tears. Contrary to their expectations, he answered. He says, "I'm extremely grateful, but no thank you." Valdemar's supervisor could hardly contain his disbelief. "How come, Valdemar? We offered you a chance like this and you turn it down? Don't you have any ambition?" To which Valdemar replied, "Of course I do. I have lots of it. My ambition is to be the best salesman and mechanic in this company." Geringer says that Valdemar continued in his job for many years, as happy as the day is long. All the executives kept asking themselves, how many Valdemars do we have here in this company? People who are content with what they were doing, who didn't feel like giving up half an hour with their family at the end of the day in exchange for a 10% salary increase and long, longer working hours. These are people that didn't wish to be promoted. On the contrary, they were, to what ambitious managers and directors thought, at the end of the day, it was the Valdemars that sustain a business. Directors come and go, but Valdemars remain. They don't want more money. They want more respect. In businesses, there is a day for everything, but every day is Valdemar's day. Geringer concludes. Companies need people like that. It's interesting to note how often people who are looking for a promotion, and then when they get it, they don't do as well in their new position. The ideal is that everyone does what they do best. And the way we see it, Valdemar is, in fact, a very successful person. As a rule, society defines people as successful when they have money, fame, influence, and many people working for them. But this view is quite questioned by those who believe in more refined concepts, who define success as being well with oneself. Nice. Being happy, enjoying respect in one's community. Quite often, this can be much more important than fame and power. Which is which is a which sorry, it's a question. Which is more sorry, the which is of a more importance to you? Which is of more importance to you? Personal achievement based on your own criteria, or made ready-made forms of success? What's more important to you? I don't like the way they word it. I don't speak that way. So, what is more important to you? Personal achievement based on your own criteria, or ready-made forms of success? In this global world that we live in, success is often viewed as getting a university degree, having a brand new car, buying a home, and becoming the president of a company. Success is generally seen as making it to the top. But as we already mentioned, in the Bible and in a wiser, more sophisticated view of life, this is huge. Success is being where you are, who you are, and content with your lot. It's the way you walk, not where you are heading. Success is, above all, a trajectory in which a person regardless of who he or she is, continues to advance, or at least does not retreat. And we are not only talking about financially measurable attributes. Your life, for example, may be a success today according to your evaluation, but people will not consider it successful until you make a lot of money or appear in some glossy magazine. The world sees the external realities. Those who are more observant will see your inner self. These externals may satisfy an imagination, but they don't always result in real benefits for you. On this subject, King Solomon said, Proverbs chapter 16, verse 25, there is a way that appears to be right, but in the end it leads to death. What ruler do you use to measure success? That's huge. We talked about, it says here, a lot of people will view you being successful by getting a degree, a new car, a new home, right? The flashy stuff, having a good title, being the president, and success is generally seen as you make it to the top. But it says here, a wiser and more sophisticated view of life, especially the teachings from the Bible, says that success is being where you are, who you are, and content with your lot. The way you walk, not where you're heading. It's the way you walk, not where you're heading. Success is above all a trajectory in which a person, regardless of who he or she is, continues to advance or at least does not retreat. And we're not just talking about financially measurable attributes. I had to read that paragraph again because that's powerful. If you are well balanced and aware of what you want, where you are and where you're going, then you will be capable of studying, working, looking after your health and your relationships, and being an all-around successful person. If you're the type of person who runs around like crazy in search of more and more money and success, you may need a Lawrence Peter. I'm sorry. If you are looking for money and success, you may need, as Lawrence Peter says, to be satisfied with stopping. He goes on and says, in a society on permanent ascension, learning to stop and learning peace is becoming difficult. In a world where quantity, wealth, and power are worth more than self achievement, people tend to confuse ascension with satisfaction. Sometimes can be achieved, happiness and achievement mean rising a little higher in your career or investing a little more money. But quite often, smart means slowing your pace. We believe it takes enormous effort and dedication to rise in a world and to remain up to date. At the same time, we believe that growth should be something natural, built on solid and self sustaining foundations. For example, we need to take good care of our families and protect our leisure time, not to mention our health, because as the years go by, we are susceptible to illness. Amen. Growing indefinitely may not be a wise move, as we see in the extraordinary story of Otto M.E. Kanik, a competent employee of We Fix It workshop. And Otto was satisfied with his job because it didn't involve paperwork or writing. One day, his boss offered him a promotion and to a managerial position. He wanted to turn it down, but his wife, Winnie, who was an active member of the League of Social Enhancement for Women, and because of her, he instead accepted it. With a higher salary, the family's economic and social status would rise. Otto didn't want it, but he let himself be carried away by his wife's insistence and took the offer. 6 months later, just because, I was like, 6 months later, he just been diagnosed with an ulcer from stress. His marriage has hit the rocks, and his wife accused him of having an affair with his new secretary, which led to her being fired as president of the league. He spends long hours in a job that leaves him frustrated and arrives home extremely irritated. Another very competent mechanic and Otto's co-worker, a nice guy who was also offered a promotion, but his wife Sally, knowing how much he loved his work, told him to pass on the offer. What was the result? He continued to be smiling and popular, the same smiling and popular man that he had been. Considered a youth and disciple worker, considered to be a youth leader and a dedicated worker, his bosses soon noticed his value to the company and rewarded him with a huge bonus, an advantageous contract, and a salary increase. The nice guys live a comfortable and satisfactory existence. Shout out to all the nice guys. The tale of these two men are useful. Here we see how the law of contentment works. This is huge. You should never be desperate for growth, especially when you are already in a comfortable situation. The ability to be satisfied is an antidote to becoming a victim or a slave of your own success. Man, it's huge. The ability to be satisfied is an antidote to becoming a victim of your own or a slave of your own success. Finishing in Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 10. Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their name. This too is meaningless. All right, what a chapter, guys. So, the law of contentment, being content with what you have. Now, there's a lot of great points that it covers there, and I was kind of getting a little irritated. I was reading it as it wasn't aligning with what I was trained in business to grow major business, make a lot of money. My name is in business is Big Money. That's the name of the page in our book club. Now, here's the thing. It ties it up very well. I was getting a little irritated, but it tied it together at the very end, and I'm at peace with it, and I love it. I love it. Great wisdom here, especially from the Bible. Now, here's the thing that we gotta cover. First of all, um, let me look over what we highlighted here. Uh, Success. Okay, so we learned a few things about success here, and as we are learning about success, in the 25 biblical laws of success, success is in your eyes, is in your thoughts. Never let anybody tell you what being successful is. Now they can tell you what they feel being successful is, and you can choose to accept that, or you can stand strong with your own personal values and say, you know what, that's not what I believe. To me, this is what being successful means. This is what being successful means. Set your own standards. You don't have to go by the standards of the world. I think that's why a lot of people struggle. And I think that's why there's a lot of division because people have their own values on what success is. If being successful to you doesn't fit the narrative of everybody else, more power to you. More power to you. Seriously. Um, you don't have to have that juicy job to be successful. You don't have to be in the six figures to be successful. You don't have to be in the seven figures to be successful. You don't have to, own your vehicle to be successful. I mean, you set your standards of what success is. Don't ever, compare yourself to someone else and be like, man, they make more money than I do, or man, they got their house first and they're a lot more successful than I am. Like, never ever compare yourself to anybody else. You can compete with anybody, but don't compare. I learned that in business. All right. And so, it was saying people are going to tell you that people are going to measure your success for you. It's funny because there's a lot of people who aren't ambitious. They're not going to take a step towards maybe running a business of their own or getting out of the job and getting uncomfortable to start something different or form an organization. There's a lot of people that they talk a lot, but their actions are not there. They're still a slave to a job. They'll still criticize everybody out there that's building up a business, but yet they don't make the moves themselves. They'll be the first ones to deem you worthy of being called successful or not. And they'll say, how much money does he make? Or is he still doing this? Is he still doing that? Or is she still doing this? She's still doing that? What do their numbers look like? They're going to classify you themselves based on their own standards, based on what they've learned, based on what they've seen and heard. And so, what's the most frustrating thing you can do for yourself is worry about if you measure up to their standards. That is the most frustrating thing you can ever do. Making sure that you measure up to how they choose to measure you and your success. I don't have a lot of money, but I consider myself a success. I have a beautiful family. I love I like cars. I love my truck. I think that was a successful purchase. Um, there's a lot that I don't have, but I don't focus on those things. I don't say I'm not successful because there's a lot of things that I wanted and I said I was going to do, and there's a lot of goals that I didn't reach. That doesn't mean I'm not successful. Success is a state of the mind. I have a phenomenal relationship with my wife. I'm telling you, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors for you. I'm not trying to brag here. I'm just saying me and my wife are on the same page. There's nothing like that, you know? And I consider myself a very blessed person for having that and for having a partner who, you know, if I say, man, this is what I need, she tries her best to make it happen, and and if I say this is what we got to focus on, we got to correct this, we got to work on this, work on that. She's all ears. She's in agreement. She said, let's do this, and I just love it. I mean, when it comes to our business, our goals are the same. When it comes to what we want to do with money, our goals are the same. Our vision is the same. There's nothing like it. And to me, a broke person, not poor, but broke. All right. I don't have a lot of money in the bank. And even though my name is Big Money Many, I don't have a lot of money, but I know where I'm going. I know my vision. I know the journey that I'm on a journey to heading. I have a destination, right? And I just know in my mind that one day God is going to just check that mark for me and say, boom, it's time, right? And the money will flow in, and I can do what I would be talking about on this podcast, do the things that I've been wanting to do to support the homeless, to take care of orphans, to stop abortion, to preach the gospel where it needs to be preached, and just do the things that I felt I couldn't do because I was lacking in monetary funding, right? But I consider myself a success and a great success in the making, right? And so never frown upon your own success because someone else says, well, he ain't making that kind of money like so and so. He's not popular like so and so. It's like don't never let anybody define your success. All right. It says the globalized world. Well, globalized world. I hate that word. Those words. Will say that success is having a degree, a car, a house, and a title. Right. None of that really means success. In society, it says here, if you are the type who runs around like crazy in search of more money and more success, you may need to be satisfied with stopping. In society based on permanent ascension, learning to stop and finding peace is becoming difficult. Man, sometimes happiness and achievement mean rising a little higher in your career and or investing a little more money, but quite often smart means slowing your pace. Never rush success. I mean, you got to be on top of things. You got to be a go getter. You got to get up every day and grind, but don't rush it. It says that Your growth should be something natural. It's got to be a natural thing. It's got to be according to God's timing. A lot of people give up on their goals and dreams because things aren't happening like right now, and they think that just because they said a prayer that it's going to happen right now. No, I mean you can say you can make a request, but God's got to give you the stamp of approval. Yeah, if that's even in the cards for you, or maybe I shouldn't say in the cards because that's not right. But if it wasn't God's plan for you to get it just now, like you can't rush success, right? And you can't try to force yourself to be into a position if you're not ready. That's why we got to, I'm telling people, you got to read, you got to work on self development, which is the part of 5 that we are in. All right. These are the laws regarding, let me get the word right here, self development, right? Personal growth. Sorry. This is part 5, the laws of personal growth, guys. So being content is part of personal growth. Now, the other thing it says here is, it says it's got to be natural, right? So therefore, what it's saying is don't rush it. Now, that story of Otto, that's awesome. Pretty much, he liked what he did, but his wife said, we need the money, and if we get the money, we rise up in social status, and I need that for my position here. And because they forced it, and they took that position even though he didn't want to, but they felt that that success would lead them to other successes, and because they pushed it, it ended up biting them, right back in the wrong way. And there's another example of an engineer in the same company who gets the opportunity, and he rejects it because the wife said, I know how much you love what you're doing now. So he got to hold on to his job and got paid more money. He got a bonus and an increase in his salary. That's phenomenal, guys. It's awesome. And so my last thing I want to cover is money. A lot of people who are Christian have a problem with people who have a business, because the vast majority of people who own a business, their aspirations are to grow in a business, to grow in status, right? To go from a small storefront to a big warehouse, from a small company that provides a service to a distribution business that offers multiple opportunities and multiple products to help families in different ways, right? McDonald's is not just a burger place anymore. Now it's a distribution company that offers all these different services. You can get cakes, you can get sodas, you can get burgers, you can get, a little bit of everything over there at McDonald's. They're a distribution business, right? Now, when it comes to money, I see a huge divide. Talk about division. There's a huge divide when it comes to church and church goers, right? The Christians. And a lot of them frown upon other Christians that have a business and that are ambitious to make money. Now, they'll say things like, "Oh, come on, the love of money is the root of all evil." They'll say things like that. Uh, the rich man, according to Jesus Christ, he it's impossible for him to enter into the gates of heaven. The Bible says that a camel can go into the eye of a needle easier than it is for a rich man to go to heaven. Now we got to take things out of context here. He was handling something with a lawyer. All right, so it was a certain situation to where he made those points. So we gotta keep it in context. All right, but when it comes to money, a lot of people will judge someone who's ambitious. Like I got a name, my nickname is Big Money Many. And a lot of people look at that and they'll, frown upon me and say, "Oh, he doesn't get it. How can he be a man of God? He's all about getting the big bucks, right?" Look, bad people do bad things with money. I understand. But good people do good things with money. And I made it very clear in various chapters of this book that we're reading in this book club that when I make that money, there's plans that I have to spend that money, and it's not just me. Of course, there's some things I like. Right, I talked about my Phantom or Mosan. There's some things that I like, but I'm not gonna be like, flashy this, flashy that, and spend the money on all me, everything I ever wanted. No, my money is to give back to the community. My money is to make a difference, to get some people off the streets, to pull some women off the streets, to save some babies that are being utterly destroyed, um, to build churches, to build facilities so that the church can be more impactful in the community. That my money is to go back to the people, you know. And a lot of people will judge me and say, "Oh, big money, right? He'll never be blessed. He's brainwashed. He's black. He's backsliding." They got all kinds of things to say. Look, never, like I said, never compare yourself to other people's version of success. You see, my pursuit of having big money is not for me. It's not so I can, have a gold everything, right? That's not what it's about. I want to do some great things, right? I need to get some Bibles to China, right? I need to build safe houses so that people can, there's safe houses to save women from prostitution and from child trafficking and sex trafficking. But how about a safe house so people can worship freely and experience just a taste of the freedom that we get to experience? Check out one of my videos that I posted earlier today from my sister, awesome video about oppression in China. But we have to be content with what we have, and don't force it. And watch how God will bless you. That's what we're talking about here. When we say, content, we're not saying, you stay small forever. No, it's saying you just love your life, love your family here in this small space that we have, in the smallness of what we have. We don't have the fanciest things here. If I showed you my room, you'd laugh and then you would cry and then you'd probably donate some money. But, but to me and to my wife and to my kids, and the joy that we've experienced together and the joy that we have every day with one another, the relationship that we have, we are indeed successful. I mean, if we stay in the house we're in now, in the space that we're living now, or or we live in a 30,000 square foot home, either way, we would enjoy each other's company. We would be frustrated with each other no matter what, but we also enjoy and love each other and enjoy each other's company. Um, and because of that, I don't I don't push that hard. And I know there's some people that would disagree, especially business owners would disagree and say, no, you gotta grind, you gotta go after it. Um, to me, I just feel like God's in the blessing business, and I made my request, and God's already delivered. He just has a certain day in mind for when it gets here. But in the meantime, I'm gonna do what I can, And so, anyways, there's all kinds of things. For those of you who are shaming people who are after money, just know you're not the one to judge. It's not your place to judge. And who knows? They could be like me. They're probably just trying to get rich so they can give back to the community. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Either way, man, I love this chapter. Cover some awesome topics, and I'm just so grateful um, to be given this opportunity to have a chance to put videos out there. It's more, it's to help you, it's to help me stay accountable, it's to help you to get better. It's also for anyone out there who needs this kind of motivation, which a lot of people do. But it's also for my kids. When I'm not here anymore, they're gonna be able to watch these things, and laugh along with me and my corny jokes and all this stuff. But as I ended off there, continue to pray for me in this ministry. Also, I did want to share that don't compare to other people's views of what success is, and even in the church. Um, people, some people remember me as a preacher, a layman preacher, and I stepped down from that position because of certain circumstances that have gone on, and it was repetitive, and caused me to step down from the position. But what people don't understand is my relationship with God has grown to another level. My knowledge with God has grown to another level. And I don't fit what I'm doing now doesn't fit the normal narrative of a leader in ministry. But to me, this is my new podium, and this is my new audience, and this is the way I'm going to impact people. And it's not normal to other people for someone to step down in a position. And it was such an easy position too. Like I think I could still do it without even getting ready or practicing mentally. But what I'm saying is, if what you do and what you consider to be successful is different than everybody else, it's all good. No, nothing wrong with that. All right. Keep doing it. Whatever God puts in your heart. Love you guys. You guys have a great night. And I'll see you tomorrow.